Hello, my name is Dr. Christens. I am your comparative religion instructor today. I'm using natural lighting, so I got a lot of glare off my glasses here today. This is an introductory video. I'm going to look at the syllabus and requirements for the course and go over what the assignments are and get a little bit into the textbook. So let's share the screen here and go over to And on the home page, we should have our modules. I've divided this up into 5 modules for the 8-week course. Usually, most weeks it's 3 chapters. We start with what is religion? Chapter 1, and there's a quiz. There's assignment to submit two religions that you want to compare. They're going to go to the Middle East, religions of the Middle East. I like to start in the Middle East and go eastward around the planet. Where we'll talk about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the next module, we'll look at religions of India and its neighbors, Hinduism, Jainism, and Sikhism. And the religions of the Far East, we'll look at Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, Shinto. And we'll have a comparative religion essay. It's due on the 14th of July. And then the finals week, we'll go back to chapter 1 and talk about the, now that we've looked at all these religions, we'll talk about what that all means. Okay. Looking at the syllabus. My contact information. You can sparingly use my phone number. I would much prefer that you use the Canvas inbox. My phone's with me pretty much all the time. So you send a message to the inbox, it'll show up on my phone right away. And my direct email, which is the same as the Canvas part. We're an online class. So basically, we're going to study Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and Shinto. Those are the top 7 religions of the world. We're also going to look at some other religions, and your textbook covers a lot more than that. Has chapters on other religions as well. Our textbook is Experiencing the World's Religions. Comes free with your tuition. You've already paid for it. The paperback version of this book is like $80, and you don't want to spend that. If you wanted to have a book that was good for keeping, I'm going to recommend one of these 2. They're both by Houston Smith. If I can get I got my camera set up funny. But it's Why Religion Matters by Houston Smith, or World Religions by Houston Smith. Basically, it's the same text, except this one is full of pictures, diagrams, and it's more entertaining. I bought both of these at used bookstores, but they're not terribly expensive. So, but if you wanted something to keep after the class and you want something additional references besides these books, our textbook, you could use something like that. When we get around to doing your paper, you can use, you can reference YouTube videos, internet articles, that sort of thing that you find. All right, let's go back to sharing. If you decide you don't want to use the textbook, the ebook, it is $80 to pay for the paperback book, and I'm not sure you can get it through the bookstore. You might have to get it somewhere else. Roughly 400 points for the course. I think maybe a little more than that. A comparative essay is 300 points. Okay, so it's very important that you do a good job writing that essay. Don't send me something at the last minute that you wrote on your phone, spent 5 minutes typing up. It is a majority of your grade. Here's our weekly schedule. And all the assignments. Some generic stuff here. If you need some flexibility on assignments because you're going out of town or something like that, let me know. I can change due dates and things like that. Just can't go past the end of the semester, the summer semester. So if you're wanting to go after the third week in July, it could be a problem. Okay. To access your textbook, you'll select McGraw-Hill Connect. You'll want to sign in using your Butler email address. Okay. And you'll get to a page after you've signed in as a new user. If you've already used McGraw-Hill Connect, you've already got an account. But if you haven't, you're gonna need to make an account. And go to the Connect to My section. And your page will look a little different than this. But you want to find the textbook, Experience in the Worlds of Religions, and click Launch ebook. Okay. And at the end of the chapter, let's go to the beginning of the chapter. So manipulate around in the textbook. You use these arrows. You can read the textbook on a phone, on a tablet, or a laptop or a desktop computer, whatever you have internet access to. Should work for reading your textbook. Always starts out with a story of the first encounter. Somebody traveling. One of the reasons you would study comparative religions is to improve your experiences traveling around the world. Start with what is religion? Some key characteristics of religion. The common translation of religion is to join again or to reconnect. If this derivation is correct, then the word religion suggests the joining of our natural human world to the sacred world. Okay. There are 8 basic elements of religion. This will be on the first quiz and on the final. They're all going to have a belief system, a fairly complete and systematic interpretation of the universe and our place in it as human beings, also known as a worldview. We'll talk about worldviews in different ways as the course goes on. They'll have community. The belief system is shared. And its ideals are practiced by a group. You're going to be central myths. There'll be central stories that anyone within that religion would know those stories and connect them together. They're going to have rituals enacted and made real through ceremonies. There'll be ethics, rules about human behavior, what's right and wrong, that kind of thing. There'll be characteristic emotional experiences. Anything from dread, guilt, awe, mystery, to devotion, conversion, rebirth, liberation, ecstasy, bliss, and inner peace. All possible in a religious experience. There's going to be material expression, statues, paintings, stained glass windows, music, flowers, kind of clothing people wear, the structure of architecture. There's going to be sacredness, a distinction made between the sacred and the ordinary. What are ordinary things and what things are sacred? Our religions have a concerned with the deepest level of reality for them. And for most religions, the core or origin of everything is sacred and mysterious. In the Western world, we tend to be monotheists, belief in one God, most commonly with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the Abrahamic traditions. All three have Abraham as their origin. And you'll read about those things. I'm not going to read the whole book for you. That would be really boring. Pantheism is a belief that everything in the universe is divine, that there's spirit in everything. Polytheism is a belief in many gods, usually set up in a family structure. If you look at the Roman, the Greek, the Norse gods, and the Egyptian gods, and like, usually some kind of family structure that mimics the human family. You have atheism. That means not God, a position asserting that there is no God or gods. And agnosticism, not know, a position asserting that the existence of God cannot be proven. Religious symbolism. Symbols and their interpretation have long played an important part in analyzing dreams. Carl Gustav Jung used tarot cards in the same way that modern psychologists would use a Rorschach test. So you have a deck of cards and you'd have people pull out 3 cards from the tarot deck and take them home with them and then come back and talk about what those cards mean to that person. Unlike when you're reading a tarot cards for someone, where the cards have meaning that are preset. But he used them the same way that we would use tarot cards or the Rorschach test. And you're going to read all of these things. All right. There's 3 patterns we look at. Views of world and life is the first one. The nature of sacred reality, nature of the universe, human attitude towards nature, and time. What is the human purpose? What words and scriptures are important to that in that religion? Exclusiveness and inclusiveness, who's in, who's not. The next one is focus on beliefs and practices. We have a sacramental orientation. Each religion is going to have some form of sacraments or sacred practices. Prophetic orientation. Makes connecting with the sacred to ensure proper belief and behavior. I have a mystical orientation. And a third one is views of male and female, which have been continually changing over the centuries. Multidisciplinary approaches to the study of religion. You can study religion from the viewpoint of psychology, mythology, philosophy. From the viewpoint of theology, theology is generally studying one particular religion rather than all religions. It's the study of the divine. So if you were a Roman Catholic, you would probably study, if you went to seminary, you'd be studying Roman Catholic theology. If you were Jewish and you went to seminary, you would, an equivalent of seminary, you'd be studying Jewish theology. From the perspective of the arts, how have the arts been used to display religious beliefs and practices and tell stories? Stained glass windows originally were for the people that were outside of the church that didn't know how to read and write, but they could be told the stories of the windows, and when they look at the windows, what's going on in those stained glass windows, they'll be reminded of the stories. Anthropology, looking at cultures and how cultures have changed religions and that sort of thing, and what effects religions had on culture. Archaeology, archaeological digs, that sort of thing, that pull up the real places where stories in sacred texts have taken place. In linguistic and literary theory, often when you study religions, you'll look at their sacred texts in the form of literary theory. Key critical issues. Why study the major religions of the world? To gain insight into religious traditions, to gain insight into what religions share, what do they have in common, to insight into people, why are people the way they are, to develop tolerance and appreciation of differences, or intellectual questioning, insight into everyday life, appreciation of the arts, enriched experience for travel, insight into family traditions, and help in one's own religious quest. All right. And let's get to the end here. End of the chapter. Your questions are taken from the ends of the chapter here. And so if I ask this question in a quiz, religious manifest 8 possible elements: belief systems, communities, central myths, ritual, ethics, characteristic, emotional experiences, material expression, and sacredness, I'd get the answer if I clicked on the A. Okay. But study these questions at the end, because these are what your quizzes are made out of. In fact, I must tell you up front, you can have this window open and open a window for your quiz and go back and forth between the two. Should be pretty easy to get a decent grade on a quiz if it's open book and you know where the answers are. All right. Let's look at quizzes. There are 4 quizzes and a final exam. The chapter 1 quiz, June 9th. Then religions of the Middle East as we go eastward around the planet. And then a final exam, much of which is based on chapter 1 again, for 35 points. Assignments. That's everything. 2 religions to compare is due June 16th. Figure out 2 religions you want to write your essay about, and then submit a little note saying what they are, so I can write those down and know that everybody's on the right track, that you're thinking about it. The essay itself is due June 14th. And has rubrics. 1,250 to 1,500 word essay. Explaining, comparing two specific phenomena, rituals, beliefs, holidays, or general observations of at least two distinct religions, traditions with instructor approval. Use something from the textbook. Now we're studying these particular 7 religions, but if Wicca or Santeria or something like that is your thing, that can be one of your 2 religions, as long as it's in the textbook. Develop and write towards a strong conclusion. 1,250 to 1,500 words with a biography page or bibliography page. Okay. Says use single space. I don't care, single space or double space. I'm going to read them electronically, so it won't matter. Turn in as a Microsoft Word document. You may wish to address the 8 elements of a religion, as talked about in chapter 1. I think it's page 6. Ask yourself some questions. You're used to writing college essays, but this one should include a paragraph or 2 about how you feel about these religions. What is attractive about them to you? What do you like? What do you dislike? What makes you uncomfortable with them? And what does knowing more about the religions teach me about myself? Answer some of these questions in your essay. The first thing it gives me when you turn this thing in, I look at it, gives me a word count. Make sure you're not sending something that's 500 words of what you wrote at the last minute on your phone. That will not fly. Okay. There's 17 people in the class. What else do we want to talk about in here? I think that should be about it. Let me tell you about myself. Again, my name is Dr. Sheldon Christensen. I am glare's bothering me. Take those off. I'm an ordained deacon in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. I have served in congregations and as a chaplain. In fact, I served at Wesley just a few years ago as a chaplain. I came to Kansas 4 years ago. I had met someone here when I was here in the summer of 2019, and we got married in January of 2021. I started teaching at Butler in 2020. So this is I've had 4 years at Butler. I teach primarily comparative religion and American federal government, because I also have a master's in political science. And so if you want to take another class from me sometime in the future, American federal government is one that I do in person and sometimes online. Although almost all of those classes are at high school campuses. So you'd have to be a student at that high school to take the class from me. What else? I have a couple of house panthers that run around here. My cats, and a little chihuahua that drives me crazy if you hear him barking during a video. He needs lots of attention. Let's see what else. I recently spent 2 years battling cancer, but I'm doing really well right now. And I have hair. I had no hair twice. Lost all my hair 2 different times with chemo, and had surgery and radiation and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to worry about that. I'm doing well. So I'm not going to die during the semester and worry about that. I've had students say, "You look so terrible. I thought you might not make it through the semester." And then what are we going to do? Kind of crazy there. So that's it for this week. Just a quick introduction. And I will talk to you next week.